Open your cerebral cortex and shift your lobes into upper beta phase, because you are going to have Bitcoin knowledge transmitted directly into your vestibulocochlear. Your host at Bitcoin Knowledge is Trace Mayer, an early Bitcoin advocate since it cost $0.25, but this is not intended to be investment advice. A doctor of jurisprudence, but this is definitely not legal advice. And an investor in core cryptocurrency infrastructure, including Armory, BitPay, Kraken, and Mitagio, but this is not a recommendation of those services. Here, you get fed via direct mind download with pure and free Bitcoin knowledge.
Welcome back to the Bitcoin Knowledge Podcast. We have a breaking news interview with Jonas Schnelli. Jonas is the founder and CEO of digital Bitbox, which is a hardware wallet, and he's also a Bitcoin Core contributor. He's the lead maintainer on the graphical user interface, or GUI, so that's what you actually interact with on the Bitcoin wallet, and he does submit other code to the Bitcoin Core project. Welcome to the podcast, Jonas.
Hey, welcome.
Yeah, so we have some breaking news here with Craig Wright. Supposedly, Craig Wright showed cryptographic proof to Gavin Andresen, John Matonis, and several journalists, including The Economist, BBC, and others, that he had signed a message with the proving that he was Satoshi Nakamoto, the anonymous creator of Bitcoin. Is he Satoshi or not? Based on the evidence that we have so far.
If he is Satoshi or not, we cannot say today, because he has not proven or not given us cryptographical proof that we could be sure he's Satoshi. And it looks like that the proof he has given us today was cleverly made up. So it looks for me a little bit after a kind of way he tried to pretend he's Satoshi, because there are much better ways or much more clear ways he could do that, by signing with his PGP key or signing with the Genesis block receiving key.
So this is not the first time that it appears he's attempted to fabricate cryptographic evidence. For example, Greg Maxwell debunked his previous attempt to claim Satoshi's reputation by saying that he had backdated a PGP key. So when you say that he could sign with a PGP key, or he could sign with the private key from the Genesis block, is that the cryptographic proof that would kind of need to be provided, given the level of scrutiny that we have?
It would be much better than what we have seen today. I mean, signing with Satoshi's, or Satoshi used GPG pub key back from 2009 would be a very clear or very strong cryptographical proof that he could be the same person that wrote as Satoshi back in 2009. Or even if he could sign with the same key as he has used for the Genesis block, that would also be a very good cryptographical proof. But what he have showed today has missing puzzles, and it was kind of disproven by some cryptanalysis people within 1 or 2 hours, that this proof is almost worth nothing in terms of math and cryptography.
So it's really pretty simple what he needs to do. He needs to come up with a message, for example, Craig Wright, Satoshi, and then he needs to sign that message with the private key to the Genesis block, and also sign the message with one of the PGP keys that is not backdated, but that Satoshi actually used, and then we would have two different authentications based on the timing of when these keys would have been created, correct?
Yes, right. It would be extremely simple. Even he could kind of just sign something with his, or sign a simple sentence with his PGP key. That would even be better proof than what he has tried to prove today. There's much better ways he could prove it if he would own the corresponding private keys of the PGP crypto scheme and also of the Genesis block.
Now, another thing that I find really interesting, the tangled web of Bitcoin, right, is we have the Bitcoin Foundation, which is a completely failed enterprise. It was funded by Mt. Gox, which has failed. Mark Karpeles has been arrested. Charlie Shrem was also one of the founding board members. He's currently in federal prison. Peter Vicenes was another founding member. And then our two remaining founding members are Gavin Andresen, the Bitcoin Foundation chief scientist, and also John Matonis. Now, both Gavin Andresen and John Matonis have claimed that they have been shown this cryptographic proof by Craig Wright. What purpose would there be for Craig Wright not to release this cryptographic proof to the public so that they can easily verify on their own these assertions?
Yeah, the timing is really something that leaves the window far open for any type of interpretations. And I think I don't want to go down to these conspiracy theories, but I don't see a reason, or I don't see why Gavin is believing that Craig Wright is Satoshi. And
that raises a very interesting question. From what I understand, the Bitcoin Core project has revoked Gavin Andresen's core commit access. Is that a reasonably prudent step for people entrusted with security engineering to take in this type of a muddled environment? Since Craig Wright has made assertions, since Gavin Andresen has verified the authenticity of those assertions, but we don't currently have cryptographic proof of the assertions, is this a reasonably prudent step for the security practices of Bitcoin Core?
Mainly his commit or admin rights were revoked because there is a certain risk or a certain possibility that his blog post system could be hacked. One evidence could be that his TLS SSL layer has a false certificate. Also, there could be other reasons for that, and I think it's a good or a very good security precaution to just revoke his commit access to avoid any problems with the source code right now. I mean, commit access would allow somebody to infiltrate the code, because it's still then it needs to be compiled and downloaded, and within that there is a verification process of GPG signatures. So the commit access itself only, or the revoking of the commit access itself only cleans out the possibility that somebody is messing with the source code. Then we would have to clean it up afterwards.
Right, which could be easily done by reverting particular commits or anything else. And with Bitcoin Core, everyone has access to all of the source code all of the time, so it's very easy to see whenever somebody tries to make a change.
Right, there's no possibility of sneaking in a change or even changing a little number like the block size. It's completely impossible, even if you have commit access or even if you're GitHub itself.
Yeah, and it's very easy to restore commit access. For example, when Craig Wright presumably does provide cryptographic proof with a sound foundation, presumably the exact same cryptographic proof that Gavin Andresen and John Matonis were shown, then it would be very easy to restore it. But in the midst of this uncertainty, in the absence of the cryptographic proof, then this is a reasonably prudent step, is the assertion on the core team side.
Right. I think that's the right step. And I mean, the question also was before if Gavin still wants or should keep the committer access rights, because he's also participating in at least two other code forks. I think it's XT and Classic. So I think it's a precaution that was mainly now because of the possibility that his page could be hacked and that his identity could be kind of stolen in that manner. And giving it back, that's no problem. It's just a one-click operation.
Yeah, so when The Economist made the assertion in their article, they said, but doubt remains. Why does he, Craig Wright, not let us send him a message to sign, for example? What could that possibly imply with how Craig Wright has gone about attempting to show this cryptographic proof? Could it be that he might have had a hacked signature verification tool on his computer that wasn't properly verifying, and so that's what The Economist wanted? They wanted to be able to verify the signature themselves. And how does this relate to the whole assertion of Bitcoin as a whole being a trustless system?
Yeah, that is. I think it's really hard to say. What I really don't get is why did BBC or was it The Economist not really verify the cryptographical proof? Because if you have the cryptographical know-how, you can easily, or at least in 1 hour, verify that the proof is really not strong or really not a proof at all. So why did they not really invested a little bit of time, even maybe consult taking Matthew Green or somebody from the Hopkins University to underline the proof or reject or debunk the proof? So I don't get why we are not looking at the facts.
Well, and they also had plenty of time because they had signed a non-disclosure with Craig Wright that they would not disclose the article or publish the article until after Craig Wright had published his article. So they had plenty of time
Yes.
to verify this cryptographic proof. So the question is, why didn't they?
Yeah, that is an absolute legitimate question. I don't see why you're not now you're not asking at least two independent cryptographers if they could shortly analyze that. I mean, 1 or 2 hours. I mean, with shortly, and they could then add a tag on that if it's maybe a proof or not a proof or a proof. But even that was not done. So I don't see why. I don't see why this was not done.
Yeah, I mean, for example, there's a website called bitcoinocracy.com, and you're able to go and sign messages, and it's kind of a voting, a way to vote, and you can see how many bitcoins are behind certain statements. So when you say that this might take an hour, anytime I've signed messages, it's taken or tried to verify messages, it's literally taken less than a minute. I know that we have message signing and verification in the Armory wallet. I know that Bitcoin Core has it also. So it's really not a very complicated step.
Right, but what he not was doing was Craig was not doing the triangle correctly, because signing a message, it's always a triangle of private key, public key, and message. So, or let's say message together with the signature. So he was not closing the triangle. So it's kind of he obscured the whole process of verifying the signature. And I think even if you had used these tools, you could think he's showing us a proof, but it wasn't a proof. He was just taking out the signature from Satoshi from the public blockchain. That's what it was.
Right. This is not the proof you're looking for because it's lacking the private key, which is what we're attempting to prove. Right?
Yeah, totally. It's not a proof at all. So, but he was kind of making a mist around his proof by showing some nice console screenshots. But at the end, if you take it down to the math, it's not a proof at all.
Well, it's been a wonderful interview. Thank you for shedding some light on all of this mist, as you called it, that Craig Wright has generated, and that it seems Gavin Andreessen and John Matonis have been perpetuating. We've had a wonderful interview with Jonas Schnelli. He's the CEO and founder of Digital Bitbox, which is a hardware wallet for Bitcoin, and also the lead maintainer of the graphical user interface for Bitcoin Core, and has also contributed lots of other code for the Bitcoin Core project. Thanks for being with us, Jonas.
Thanks for having me.
Be sure to get a copy of the free Bitcoin Guide at freebitcoinguide.com. Got a question or suggestion? Record your voice at bitcoin.kn. Don't be shy. To help the show, share Bitcoin.kn with friends, post about it on Reddit, and otherwise spam the interwebs. Your iTunes comments and 5-star reviews are very important to us. Please continue tuning in to the Bitcoin Knowledge Podcast, where we release interviews with the top people in the Bitcoin world. Now take some choline and let that Bitcoin knowledge consolidate.